Can you believe it? This year is rapidly coming to a close and 2022 is approaching us, and I can't even believe where the time went. In this episode, we're going to talk about what you can do to prepare for the next year so you're ready to hit the ground running with your goals and dreams when the new year approaches. Hey, we're Britt and Chris Carmichael, and you're listening to the Elevated Life Podcast. Throughout the 13 years we've been together, we've never ceased in our endless quest to better ourselves.
We've studied top experts, philosophers, and gurus. After years of personal self-experimentation, we found the tools for shifting your beliefs, moving through fears, and developing a positive mindset.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, then you're in the right place because we're here to empower you to take control of your life with simple mindset shifts that create radical transformation.
We'll be diving into topics like personal growth, health, philosophy, spirituality, relationships, success, and mindfulness.
So create some space for yourself and get comfy. It's time to become the badass you were born to be. So one of the things Chris and I always love to do during the hustle and bustle of the holiday season is take time to rest. This is always our number one priority, but something this year is showing us that it's not just about resting and finding a new balance, but it's also about getting clear on what your game plan is moving into the next year.
I think lack of clarity is what ends up stopping most people from doing anything. You know, if they don't know what it is exactly that they want, or they don't know exactly where they want to be going, then they just kind of like hopelessly fall into life. And a lot of times they don't like what they get, but since they didn't order anything off the menu, they should, it's like that catch. And so what we want to do here today is to talk about what we're doing for the last 30 days. And I think this can be so important to get you on the right foot when you have that January 1 come around. You're saying, you know what, this is a new year. I want to develop into something that's new for myself. I want to make some changes in my life. I want to do away with some of these bad habits that I've gotten myself into. I want to start doing things that I know are going to propel me forward. This is what you have to do before then. And it's going to work so well if you'll follow along.
Yeah, so the first thing you're going to want to do is make space. If you're trying to call something new in, you can't grab it if your hands are already full. So one of the things we've been finding ourselves doing lately is purging physical items like clothes or items that we don't use in the house anymore. We've been purging people from our lives and our relationships. We've been purging distractions through social media or unsubscribing from emails that are clogging up the inbox. Just anything that's taking up time that isn't bringing us joy.
When you start to let go of certain things, what you have to do is redefine who is it that you're going to be. Because the things that you've signed up for, the people that you followed, the YouTubes that you subscribe to, that all served you at one point. Maybe you need entertainment, maybe you're interested in how-to, maybe you're really big on some sort of specific diet. But if that doesn't align with you right now in your life, then it's not for you anymore. And so we don't want to get distracted. The biggest obstacle for confusion and for clarity is distraction. If we stay distracted, we end up lacking discipline. And so in order to be disciplined, what you have to do is say, okay, what am I going to be now? And what would that person be doing? Like, where would they shop? How would they dress? What would they be doing with their health? What would they be eating? How would they be working out at all? How would they be thinking about different things? Do they need a more positive mindset? Do they need to work on their sales? Like, what is that? And those are the things going into the next year that you need to go and start following, or you need to go and start figuring out, how can I implement more of that? What we find is that most people just add on more and more and more. So whatever they have now, rather than stripping away, they say, oh, I'll just do double that. I'll have more distractions. Because think about it. If you leave your phone on and the notifications are on, and every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you're getting an email notification here, bing, and it's a little lighting up, and bing, and it's lighting up. And you get so distracted that you end up forgetting what you've set out to do. And because of that, you can't end up accomplishing your goals. You can't end up moving forward on anything because you're too lost in what you're interested in previously.
So purge and eliminate distractions are top priority to make space for clarity of what it is you want to call in for the next year. Getting rid of what weighs you down or holds you back that's not in alignment anymore.
The next thing that you want to be able to do is to plan. So after you've hit the purge, now it's time to plan. And that is going to be, what are the new things that I need? What is going to take up the space that I've eliminated from the other things? And how much space is it that I will require to be able to accomplish what I want to do in this next year?
And I think beyond that is to prioritize. What is the thing that will move me forward? Or reflect back over the last year and find, where did I fall short? Where did I struggle? For me, I can tell you that now getting into meal prepping every Sunday and creating that consistent habit has been such a game changer that if I look back over the whole year, the thing that I struggled with that would make a big difference for me to stay on point and on task in 2022 is looking the difference between what my life was like without the meal prep and then what the last half of the year where I focused on that, how that made a big difference. And so maybe you just reflect back on areas in your life where you struggled a little bit. Maybe you made a change and saw some difference. And if you just put in a little bit more dedication and discipline to maintaining that new habit, it will help in the long run to keep you on track.
You know, one of the other things that I like to do when I'm changing my life that way is I like to send a message to all my friends or like all the close people that I know that are doing things that are really cool in their lives. And I like to ask them, what didn't work for you last year? And what are you doing right now that you're loving? And sometimes their recommendations on those two things will allow me to try to, ooh, I could use that, or ooh, that would make a big difference in my life. So it's really good to look at who's in your network and start asking them questions and figuring out. That way you don't have to figure out everything yourself. Because sometimes what someone else is doing and what they've really found to be very beneficial for them is something that you have been needing but didn't know it. And so make sure that you're reaching out to them, especially during this time. It's always great to be telling your friend, you know, that whole happy holidays thing and getting on that path and then asking them, lead into that question of like, what's this next year like for you? And start asking them that. Always love to tap into what my friends' goals are. So that I can support them along the year. They can have a little bit of a partner in that and they can feel like, damn, man, somebody's here for me. This feels good.
So we're purging out what doesn't serve us. We're making a plan on how we can show up and stay accountable to our goals. And we're prioritizing what's most important to be able to make that happen. And again, going back to the eliminating distractions. Because when we prioritize what's important, it helps us to say no to the opportunities, good ones or bad ones, that don't align with moving the needle forward.
The next thing that you're going to want to do is to perfect the process. This is the key, because something that you do in your planning is not going to work. We can never see all the obstacles when we're making the plan. And so once you actually start doing it, you'll realize, oh my gosh, like we had to change so much of our lives once BRIT started doing meal prepping because Sunday became a different day for us. Suddenly we're needing, 4, 5, 6 hours of straight cooking time so that we get everything done. And so that means that certain things weren't going to happen on Sundays anymore. And so the perfecting process comes about when you hit the stumbling block on the road. So when you plan out your week, you're going to say, okay, these are going to be new things that I have to implement. Where do they fit? Where can I arrange it? And then once you go through and experiment with that, I like to experiment during the month of December, not in the month of January. All the experiments happen beforehand. That way, when we get to January, we have a better plan.
We're ready to go.
It's more perfected. That means I'm failing less as that's happening. Because I've already tried it once and realized, oh, here's a snag. Oh, okay, this won't work. Okay, we can't order groceries from there. That won't be a thing. We need to be going over here and doing this, or we need to be doing this for our business, or this for our relationship. We need to be planning these amount of vacations in our year because I know the first quarter is going to be really tight. And so I want to be able to, at the end of the first quarter, I want to be able to spend a few days with you where we're doing nothing. All the kind of planning for the year happens beforehand. And so you can perfect it in a way so that you realize, how do I feel when I get this amount of sleep? Is it better for me to wake up early, or do I need a little extra time in my morning? Do I want to be a night owl? Am I going to be drinking out late with friends on Friday and Saturday? Is that something that I can implement in my life? Can I do it just once a month? You start making these boundaries and rules. And so during the year, you don't have to come up with stuff. What you have to do instead is just reinforce the boundaries. And if you tell people, if you let your friends know what's going to be happening, you're like, hey, I'm going to be working on my business a lot, but I still want to get together with you. Let's get together a couple times a month. I want to make it fun and it's super interactive and intentional. You can start to see that and start to make plans now so that once you start to doing the things, people aren't confused. Because when you've been a certain person or acted a certain way for a long time and you go to make big changes, it totally confuses everybody because who you are being doesn't match what the image of you that they have is. And so you have to let them know, I'm going to be making some changes in my life. And that way you can start getting everybody on board. And if they're not on board, maybe that's somebody you need to purge. Or maybe it's somebody you need to press pause on and be like, hey, look, I'm trying to do some fantastic things in my life this year. Like I really want to do these things for my business and my family, my pocketbook, my health, whatever it is. And I need you to support me in this. I'm calling on you as a friend, as a family member, as a partner. I need your support. I want you to help show up and be there for me. Can I ask that of you? And if I can do that for you, will you do that for me? And start to be there. And so you build that support system. The perfecting process is so important. I think a lot of people miss it. It ends up being why they stop doing whatever it is they're interested in. Most people don't get their New Year's resolutions. I think it's because they start something and think it's going to be easy, but they hadn't tried it yet. So make sure that you're dialing in on the process. And if you're with somebody else, if you're doing it for your business, you need to be asking your business people too. Like you need to get some weigh in on the team. If you have a partner, you need to be asking them. Because if it affects them, you let them weigh in on it. And the question that you want to be asking them is, how can we do the same thing, but how can we make it easier on both of us? Like how can we take this and simplify it? Let's not overcomplicate things. Even when you have big dreams, doesn't mean your life has to get extremely hectic. It can be in a place where it's all still manageable, but only if you'll sit down and have the forethought and then ask them for input on that.
Yeah, like going after your goals and living your dream life doesn't happen by accident. It happens by thought and intention and conscious planning. And so your challenge for the month of December is to start purging and clearing space and getting into the little routines and rituals that are starting to move you in the direction of the goals that you have for yourself. That way you're not just like, okay, it's January 1st, we're going to start from scratch. Get this practice run in now so that when January 1st comes, you're either more clear on what your goals are because you've had time to dabble this month to see like, oh, that's actually not really what I'm interested in doing. I want to focus and shift my priorities. And when January 1st gets here, you've already practiced enough so that you don't feel like it's hard. You've had time to perfect the process just enough so that it feels like a new normal and comfortable so that you don't give up and quit. I mean, I feel like we've shared this on past New Year's resolution podcasts about like the percentage of people who drop off and fail reaching their New Year's goals. It was like 90 something % by the end of the month don't actually reach it.
It's high. It's staggeringly high. And I think a lot of it's because they don't build in that failure part. And I think two other things that are really going to benefit you if you're saying, hey, I want to make this next year a really great year for me. I want to at least be set up in a space where I have the highest potential of achieving that. And that is to start to, and we've been doing this a lot lately. This has been something key for us in the past couple of weeks. We've already started to implement this. And that is to go back and look at what your morning and evening routines entail. Like, are you doing the things during those moments that on a long term will help you out a lot? For us, the morning is a lot about movement. And it's a lot about breath work and meditation that we do in the morning, kind of to set us up for the day. What I notice is that when we do that, we're a lot more calm in the day, even when it gets to where we're, when we're juggling a lot of fires in the moment, we're more calm doing it, so it doesn't get us overwhelmed. And like that's what I've noticed when we do breath work, when we do a little bit of meditative work, and we do a yoga practice or movement or walking or whatever it is, that really helps us a lot. For the evening routine, for us a lot, it has to do with reading. And like, where are we taking? We typically read 2 books simultaneously. One has to do with nonfiction and normally about our business, and us and just getting better at us doing what we do for a living. And then the other one,
marketing and magic.
And those are the 2 books that we would typically. The other one has to do with whatever our hobby or spiritual purpose is. Maybe that is furthering meditation,
like our curiosities.
Yeah, whatever it is that's really you're excited about. And I like to read about, let's say, 10 or 15 pages in each one a night, and we do that together after like tea time. And it's just one of those things. And then getting back to intimacy with your partner, and it's deciding what am I going to do in like that first hour or so of my day, and what am I going to do in that last hour or so of my day, and being okay with a minimalist approach to it that will have big impact. Because think about, if we're reading 10 or 15 pages a day, after 6 months, we've helped ourselves and our business and our curiosities a ton. It has really paid for itself, but it's not a lot of commitment per day. And so it's getting that and defining what that is for you. What is it that you need to do, or what do you need to do with your partner or kids that will have a really big impact if you'll just spend a few minutes doing it?
You know what would have a really big impact? Joining the Elevated Life Club.
True that.
You know, I was thinking about, as you were talking, like, oh, routines and rituals, we've got a master class for that. Oh, structure and self-discipline, got a master class for that. Motivation, setting your year up for success, got a master class for that. I'm just like thinking about what are all the tools people need to be able to make that happen and really implement it. We've taught inside the club. And if you are looking for that kind of accountability or the wisdom or the tools to shortcut your progress to living your purpose and damn, like having a good time doing it, because we've stumbled along the way to get to the wisdom that we have, and sharing it in the club makes it so that you don't have to fall down and fail 1,800 times on your journey to achieving your goals. You can have a shortcut blueprint and a team of people who hold you accountable and cheer you on along the way.
Well, this is exactly why, it's funny because when you look up stats on the New Year's resolutions, like I did when we did the masterclass before, what they talk about a lot is health. A lot of people are always trying to get into health at the beginning of the year. That's when gyms see the huge surge and all that. What was the most interesting stat, it was not the fact that so many people failed. I kind of already knew that. I mean, I've been around people my whole life. You can tell that most people set up really big lofty goals for themselves and then just fall flat on their face in a few weeks because they have to make changes. And so what the stat that really blew me away, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's something like this. And that is the people who sign up with a personal trainer end up sticking to their goals the longest. And what's interesting about that is the same way in the elevated life, is that the people who get coaches or the people who get mentors or the people who have an accountability group or a partner or something where they put skin in the game, where they'll take a few bones, a few dollars and throw it at something and say, I'm interested in this, a lot of times they have such a higher rate of achievement. I want to say it was like 76 or 80 something % of people actually accomplished it if they hired the trainer, which is so interesting because why that is there are going to be days where you're not motivated. There are going to be days where you're too tired or you've come up with some fun excuse, but that trainer is still going to be there. That coach or mentor is still going to be there and they're going to come pull it out of you. That's what a good coach does. They whip you into shape on the days where you forgot to show up to perform. And having that kind of service, having that level that will be there for you when you do that is exactly why the Elevated Club is such a big deal to us, because I know that so many people have lofty dreams and have things that they want to be doing and they're so capable of it, and they definitely need to because the world needs it really bad. We need a lot of magic in the world. And they just get off the train one day. And they didn't have anybody tell them, hey, you need to get back on the train. And so they just stayed there. And then the next year they're trying to do the same thing. And they're part of that 90-something % that fails. If they would just get a little bit of help or just put a little bit of money so that there was a value in achieving it or a value in going after it, then they would have been able to get it. You don't have to spend a fortune. It's just something that you do so that you say, this is important to me. This is, and talking about the booty camp that you've been doing. Mm-hmm. Talking about this 8-week challenge. It costs money for you to sign up for that. We know how to diet.
Oh my gosh, and it's the last week.
We know how to diet. We know how to exercise. We know how to do all those things. Hell, we've even taught them in the membership club. We know how to do both of those things. But taking your money and applying it to something, the likelihood of you achieving it
100%
is so much higher.
You walked in that day when I bought it and you were like, you just paid for that? You just bought that? But like, I can help you. I'm like, yeah, but it's not about that. It's about putting my money down so that I show up. Like we talked about in the procrastination episode a couple episodes back, like money's a big motivator when it comes to going after goals like that. So I wanted to put my money down so that I would show up and stay accountable to the goals. I've had these health goals my whole life, but sometimes it takes a little extra to stay totally motivated to make that happen.
This is one of those big psychological tricks that you could do to yourself, because most of us value money a ton. I mean, we build our entire lives around it. That's why college is important. That's why school is important. That's why job stuff it's why so much stuff is important to us. And so if we'll use that trick to motivate ourselves, a lot of times it works. And two, when you start to see that, what you'll notice is that where have you been lacking it in the rest of your life? Like, is there a mentor that you could have in business? Is there a coach that could help you move forward? I mean, like every major, sports team has a coach. The Olympians have coaches. The people who are in politics have advisors and advisory boards, and companies do that are successful.
Hell, I coach coaches.
That's what I'm saying. And it's just like, I think that the average person doesn't realize how much they need it. Everyone for the most part, who I've ever met that was successful, not only had coaches to help them get there, but they still have them. And I don't care if you're at what
Freaking
level
Michael
you're at.
Jordan.
Yeah. Michael Jordan had, multiple fantastic coaches. His coach is one of the most incredible guys that I've seen. And I feel like if we would get out of the way on the money problems, which a lot of people have. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to spend the money for that. Good coaches will pay it back tenfold. You just have to find a good one. You have to find the person that's right for you, the person that can motivate you and that you can be open and vulnerable with. If you do sign up for a coach, make sure that you're ready to take action. That's going to be something that where you're like, it's time to go. It's time to do this. And get excited about it, because I think this next year is going to be fantastic. But it's only going to be fantastic if we set it up in the correct way and being okay with changing that plan that we have and perfecting it to make it match what life really gives us.
Ooh, I love that. So you've got like one more month until we've got a new year around the corner, and this is your opportunity to practice, to put it out there, to say, you know what, I want to do something different. Here's where I struggled. Here's where I can hold myself accountable. And if you need that extra support, then the Elevated Life Club is definitely the place to be. We will be, celebrating our 5-year anniversary of the Elevated Life Club. So we've got a lot of fun changes that will be happening, including raising the price. So if you are looking for that accountability, if you're looking for that community, the coaches to cheer you on and move you past the blocks of fear, this is your time. This is your opportunity to join a community that's ready to elevate you and give you all the tools you need to not only be successful, but also feel fulfilled, like you're serving your purpose.
Yeah, and to realize that, like BRIT said earlier on, none of this is going to happen by accident. It's all going to take intention. It's all going to take forethought. It's all going to take you having a plan that you can deliver on. Action is going to be 100% key after you have that plan. The rest of the year is going to be up to you. What are you going to get out of this year? Is it going to be a repeat? Is it going to be better? Is it going to be absolutely great? It's all up to you. Like, the ball is in your court at this point. Make something happen this year. Get off the couch and get into your life and make it happen.
Oof, you're giving me the chills. I'm so excited to wrap up this podcast to talk about how you can really make the shifts and changes now that will make a massive impact in your future. So be thinking about it now. We purposely are timing this podcast right now to launch so that you have time to really think about what it is that you want to call in for 2022. We're here to support you. We love you. We believe in you. And if you're looking for that community, come join us in the club. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life Podcast. Want more? Join us at theelevatedlifeclub.com for mindset upgrades, lifestyle hacks, and spiritual tools to elevate your soul.
Each month features a new masterclass, meditation, yoga practice, and more to help you transform your life one step at a time.
Come join the 7 or Above Club.